ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So we're reading fifth canto. What's this verse? 5, 550, 513, 13. Yeah, sorry. This is the verse we are reading, and I think you all got it. I don't think so. There's no need to show this verse. I'll just speak. So what is happening in this verse is Jad Bharat is trying to explain Rahugan Maharaj about the forest of material life. That's what he's talking about. Now, obviously, the chapter's name is, I think, Forest of Material Life. So he's trying to give an analogy. He's trying to explain, first of all, that material life is a forest. And so daily we sing in the morning, Samsara Dava Nalalidha Loka. So Samsara, this material word, is on forest fire. So many times in Srimad Bhagavatam, material word is compared to forest. The question is why? Why? Because forest is a dangerous place. Simple. We don't go in forest and live. Anybody who has seen forest, it is dangerous, especially at night. And especially there are so many wild animals, there are swamps, there are mosquitoes, then food, poisonous plants, unexpected things happen in forest, like forest fire. Prabhupada says in one of his lecture that nobody lights fire in the forest. It automatically happens. Similarly, in this material world, nobody wants anxieties, but automatically anxieties will be generated. Automatically, and especially in this verse, this is what is mentioned. The husband and wife, they're living together happily, but suddenly problems arise in their relationships due to monetary transactions. Or nations are living happily, China-India relationship may be fine, but then suddenly they start fighting on the border and there's tensions. So anything can happen at any time in this material world. That's what this material world is all about. That's why material world is compared to forest fire. This is very important line which I mentioned. Anything can happen at any time. And we must remember this line, otherwise we will become completely full of anxiety, completely frustrated, as Jad Bharat is mentioning. He's saying sometimes people become embarrassed due to lack of money, and they almost die. Husband and wife, they don't have money, and then they become embarrassed because of people. They don't have prestige, they don't have money, they don't have car, they don't have things to buy, their prestige goes down, and then they die. Maybe they might not die morally. People in this world, you might say, people are not dying. Because if you see stats medically, what's that called? Death rate has reduced. And life expectancy has increased because we have conquered many diseases, epidemics, and this and that, and so called. So you might say, who is dying? Life has become more advanced, more happy, we have more facilities. So it seems that Jad Bharat is impractical, but it's not like that, because you might not die physically, you might not become diseased physically, but you can become diseased mentally. That's why psychiatric problems are increasing. Life expectancy has increased, but psychiatric problems, anxiety, stress has increased. And you might not die physically, but at the same time you might die morally. What about that? People are dead morally. That's what Vyasadeva said. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. Everybody is Shudra. That means everybody is. Hare Krishna, somebody is unmuted. You have to. So that means everybody is dead morally. And then also, of course, everybody is spiritually dead. That's what Srila Prabhupada defines Shudra as, who is not interested in spiritual life. Nobody is interested in spiritual life in this world. So people are dead. And that's what this verse is talking about. Sometimes they die. They become embarrassed. They die because due to lack of money. They might die physically, they might die morally, they might die spiritually, they might die emotionally. People become dead emotionally. They don't have money, then they become frustrated from inside, and they're emotionally they're fully torn apart, and they're dead. And then finally some people do suicide or whatever. That's what is happening. So that's why material world is compared to forest fire, and that is why we should remember this point. Anything can happen at any time. Now let's see. So is there any evidence for this? Anything can happen at any time in Bhagavad Gita? Is there any verse for this where Krishna is saying anything can happen at any time? Is there any verse in Bhagavad Gita? There should be. Of course, Krishna defines material world as dukhalyam ashashvatam. That is anything can happen at any time. If you really look carefully and fine-tuned way, dukhalyam ashashvatam, anything can happen at any time. Because why? Krishna says this is place full of miseries. Nobody wants miseries. Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto. Everybody wants happiness, but nobody wants miseries. But miseries come anyway. So anything can happen at any time. That's the point. Ashashvatam, this place is temporary. The concept of temporariness carries this another concept that anything can happen at any time. Is it? Because it's temporary. You have created a beautiful situation around your life, a comfortable situation, but it can break at any time. The material world is all about make and break. That's all. Make and break. You keep on making, time keeps on breaking. So we should be ready for actually not ready, but we should know that this is what is reality. If we accept reality, we'll be happy. That's what Jad Bharat is saying to Rahugan. Why don't you accept reality? Why are you living in illusion? In illusion, people think everything is under my control. Aham karta, aham bhogi, karta, ramiti manyate. I am the doer, everything is under my control. I will make my life comfortable. I will never become diseased. I will never become disturbed. And I will act in such a way so that everybody is happy with me and I am also happy. We have our ideas, but it doesn't happen. People, Jad Bharat is talking about husband and wife here. So before marriage, every girl and every boy thinks we will live nicely. Girl thinks we will have my husband, I will have my 2 children, we will have nice home. Husband will think I will take care of my wife very nicely and this and that, but it doesn't turn out like that. Everybody knows reality. Everything is something else happens, am I right? So, what to do? That's the idea. What is Jad Bharat trying to convey to Rahugan Maharaj? In this whole chapter, this central theme he wants to convey and he wants to make us remember is this world is a dangerous place. Remember that. Srila Prabhupada always he talks in his purport. Again and again, this is a dangerous place, it's a dangerous place. We don't realize it because we have made our lives in such a way so that we don't feel the danger. That's another illusion we have created around us, am I right? We have made all security checks around us. This happens, I'll do this. If this happens, I'll do this. Future security, my money in bank and this and that, LIC, and householders are always tensed about future security. What will happen in future? Let's do this. My children's future, my health future, my health insurance and this. Now I'm safe. In fact, this is you are creating illusion yourself. You're yourself creating illusion around yourself. In fact, that's why actually you see it's very easy to talk about this material world is dangerous place, but we don't. Very few of us realize it's a dangerous place. I mean to say, let about having realization it's a dangerous place. We have made our lives in such a way so that we forget it's a dangerous place. We have made arrangements in a life. We are so expert to make arrangements to make us forget it's a dangerous place. Otherwise, how can we be happy in this material world? It's impossible. Anybody who is happy in this material world is insane. That's another point. That's what Rishabdev says. Unam pramattha kurute vikarma. Anybody who is happy in this material world, he's insane. He's mad. Of course, externally we have to show that we are happy. But inside we should not be. We should never be happy in this material world. If it's a dangerous place, how can you be happy? Can you be happy if you're lost in the forest? But we forget all these things. Why? Why do we forget? It's a dangerous place. Why do we forget? It's a temporary place. Why do we forget all these things? Because we have made our lives, we have surrounded ourselves with all the objects and all the people and all the money we can, so that we forget it's a dangerous place. What an illusion we have made. We have created ourselves. What an illusion. That's a tragedy. Maya is not responsible for our malady or our tragedy. We are responsible. We are doing this. And that's why you see all great souls like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In fact, before I tell that, Krishna says in Mahabharata, I was telling the other day, he says a great soul, who is a great soul and who is an average man, who is a great man, who is an average man. He says a great man is always at extremes. A great man will either feel intense happiness or he will feel intense suffering. He will not be in a comfortable zone. Some happiness, some suffering. Okay, it's tolerable, let's go. It's not like that. Prabhupada, intense happiness, ecstasy of Krishna consciousness. And intense suffering, heart attack and what not. Pandavas, intense happiness, association of Krishna. And intense suffering, forest, 14 years in forest, banished, Draupadi, disrobed, Bhima, he was Bhishma and Pandavas, they wanted to, so many times Kauravas plotted to kill them. Always remember this sutra. Very nice sutra. Krishna says, keep yourself in positions where you are extremely happy and extremely suffering. Don't remain in middle. Although we say middle path, but if you want to become great man, that's all. If you want to become a great devotee, if you want to become average devotee, okay. Be comfortable. I mean to say, chant your rounds, do Mangal Aarti, go to Sunday program, have prasad, listen to Zoom lectures, and your life is going on. That's okay. Not much to do. But if you want to be a great devotee, why do we want to be great devotees? To actually do some exceptional service for Krishna, or maybe substantial service, not maybe exceptional, but substantial service to Krishna. If you want to do that, then you have to follow the advice of Krishna. In fact, you see this. I was reading Mahabharata. This Karna, he was really frustrated at one. So he was really frustrated at so one point of time. He was thinking. So Krishna came and met him, and so Karna was saying, you know what, I'm completely frustrated. Krishna has told, what happened? So Karna said, you see, my life is not settled. I mean to say, I am there with Kauravas, and I am away from my wife. Karna had wife and child. What was Karna's child's name? What was his name? I am forgetting what was his name. I think his name was Atiratha. Yeah, I think his name was Atiratha, and his wife's name I'm forgetting. Anyway, So he was saying, I'm away from my child and my wife and living in with Kauravas in here, and my parents, my mother, I am away from her, and within Kauravas I am always being disgraced by Bhima, by Bhishma, Dronacharya. They are always criticizing me. They are always calling me Sutputra. So even here within Kauravas and Pandavas, they are fighting, and I am not settled here. And even I even don't know my real mother. What about that? So Karna was saying, my life is changing so fast, and I'm completely frustrated. So Krishna said to Karna, you think so big things, and you want to bring a change in the entire world by your character, by actually changing Kauravas, Pandavas, whatever you want to do. You want to bring a big change in this material world, and you are fearful of change. A person who wants to bring change in this material world, he is fearful of change. Then how will he bring change in this material world? You tell me. It's a very important instruction. So we are actually so fearful of change in our life. Am I right? Everything is settled, everything is going, my children, my wife, my husband, my house, everything is good. Anything just goes up or down, we are disturbed. Or even for full time, everything is nice, I'm doing my service, everything is happy. So one day something happens and the devotee is completely disturbed. Why? And then devotees say, oh, we want to change the entire world, we want to make it Krishna consciousness, you want to change the entire world, but you are fearful of small changes. Then how will you bring change? You're crazy crap or what? You see, this is called bewilderment. This is what is called bewilderment. This is called illusion. We want to bring change, we are fearful of change. We read its material world is dangerous place, but we make ourselves secure. We read that this material world is full of miseries, but we want to be comfortable. What is this? Unam pramattaha kurute vikarma. People are mad, including devotees, all of us. Not all of you, maybe myself. I think I am mad. I don't know about you all. But I am doing those things which are not supposed to be done. And we daily read in scriptures, and we are doing those things which are not to be done. We are doing those things which are, we hear things, but we are not supposed to do that, but we are doing things. And we are not just doing things, we are building palaces around our life. So what to do about this? The first step is you have to first get out of your illusion. The cocoon, we say cocoon, small cocoon, get out of that. Try to come in reality. Don't make your life comfortable. You will repent later. Don't make your life comfortable. It's always good what Krishna says. First, whatever is nectar first, later it's poison. Whatever is poisonous first, later it's nectar. Don't make your life comfortable. That's what I was saying. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he didn't used to open windows, because he was saying that fresh air will come and I will fall into Maya. I will forget this material world is a dangerous place. Of course, his example is a little extreme. We don't do like that. But at least we should have a concept like that in our life. Am I right? If we don't have a concept like that, and if we have a totally opposite concept, then what do? That was a function of tapasya. What is austerity? Austerity means make your life not comfortable. That's austerity, am I right? Why? So that you don't forget that this material world is a dangerous place. That is why it was suggested that don't make your life comfortable. That is why it is what's happening. That is why it is suggested that don't make your life comfortable. Do austerities. Austerities are not to be done because we want mystic powers and blah blah blah. Austerities are done so that we remember this material world is a dangerous place. That's why austerities are done. Because if we don't do that, we'll forget it. We'll forget everything, and it's very easy to forget. It's a place full of miseries and dangerous place. It's a forest fire. You see, after some time, it becomes a theory. I think for most of us, it's a theory. I'm myself personally frustrated because we know these things, but we don't know at the same time. This is the tragedy of my life. We know, but we don't know. We know the whole Bhagavatam, but at the same time we don't know. We know entire Bhagavad Gita, but at the same time we don't know. And we are trying to do those things which will make us permanently forget Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Actually, you know what? I am convinced I am mad. I don't know about you all. If you think you are not insane, that's very fine. As far as I am concerned, we are mad actually. We are mad, and anybody who doesn't think he's mad, I think that is the what do we say? That is the pinnacle of madness. A mad person is thinking he's not mad. That's the height of madness, insanity. Am I right? So if you ask a mad person, he will not be able to answer you. Are you mad? He will not be able to answer you. He will be in his own world. He will answer bizarre. But if a person is diagnosed insane and he says, I am perfectly all right, and you talk to him and he will talk nicely and he will do everything nicely, but he is diagnosed insane. So what do you call this person? Psychopaths. These are called psychopaths. Am I right? Who can behave normally, but they are insane. These are called psychopaths. These people are very dangerous people. Psychopaths, they kill others. Psychopaths, they do murders, they do all these kind of nonsense things. So I think we are all psychopaths basically. We're all I mean to say, how many times you have read in Bhagavatam? We don't need to read today's verse. Again and again everybody is saying Puranjan Katha. He is saying, Puranjan is also giving the same allegory, forest allegory and a palace allegory, to actually make us realize it's a dangerous and miserable place. Jad Bharat is saying the same thing. Vidur said the same thing. Maitreya said the same thing. Everybody is saying the same thing. And then what about us? Still we are so dull-headed. This is called Shudra. So the point is, I am not saying that you have to now leave your house and forget everything. No, you have to have a right concept. That's very important. If you don't have a right concept, then obviously we are in illusion. What to talk about getting out of illusion? That's what Bhaktisiddhanta used to say. Externally behave like a gentleman, but internally have renunciation in your heart. Externally behave like a preacher, but internally you should be like Babaji's. Bhajananandi, internally. Renunciation should be kept in your heart. And that was Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all these people. They were householders, they had 10 children, they were household people, but in the heart they knew, they never forgot these things. So they didn't get deviated from the bhajan and Krishna consciousness. Question is how to do that. That's the whole question, because we forget, we're doing something else. Then suddenly we read something and then suddenly we remember, we should not be done. What to do? I don't think so there is any permanent solution for this because we will forget. But the only solution which I can think is, of course, Shravan Kirtan is there. Regular hearing is required, and regular chanting of holy names nicely, that's required. Otherwise what we hear we'll forget. Shravan Kirtan go together. But besides that, what we can do, because we are doing Shravan Kirtan. Of course, some people are not even doing Shravanam, a good quality Shravanam. We are generally, I mean to say, once in a while we hear from somebody, this material world is a dangerous place. Otherwise, everybody is talking. Everybody is talking nice stories and nice things. Am I right? Everybody is into that. And Krishna consciousness is so nice. Krishna consciousness is nice. We don't say Krishna consciousness is nice. But Krishna consciousness can be appreciated as nice only when we have a contrast of this material world which is not nice. You can appreciate daylight if you have night. Otherwise, you can't appreciate daylight. You can appreciate saints because there are bad people. If all are saints, then if everybody is saint, then what will happen? And what's going to happen? Tell me, what's going to happen? Everybody becomes a saint on this earth planet. Now you might think it will be so nice, but no. If everybody becomes saint, then you will start fighting with each other because if everybody is saint, you will lose the value of sainthoodness, because everybody is saint. Everybody is nice. And then enviousness will come. He is better saint than me. Why is better? Some other dynamics will start. Because we are in world of illusion. Of course, if everybody is Paramahamsa, then that's another thing. But that's an impossibility. Everybody is Paramahamsa except Satyuga. But when we say everybody is saint, like all of us, like suppose if you go to temple, everybody is a saint there, but still there's a politics, still there are problems, and then when ordinary people come, they say, well, we came to ISKCON or maybe Madhva Sampradaya, Ramanuj, whatever devotional sampradaya we went, spiritual institution, we expected everybody will be nice and everybody is saint, but we see there's so much problem there. What is this? Because then there is enviousness. In fact, in heavenly planets, Srila Prabhupada writes, the only problem in heavenly planets is enviousness. There is no hunger, there is no thirst. Death is practically absent because they live very long lives. That's why even for demigods, the word used Amar, they are almost eternal people. There is no death, there is no old age. So then what is their enviousness? Of course, lust is there, but their lust is not a problem because they are allowed to be lusty. That's another thing. There is no reaction for that. Enviousness is a big problem there. So, you see the point there. So, what's the solution? Good quality of hearing. Hear something which is balanced. Good quality of hearing. This is good quality of hearing. Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat is not telling you stories. There's a forest, there's some husband, wife, and they become distressed, and Raghugan, it's so nice. Practically he's saying, Raghugan, you're a fool. He practically is saying that, saying in these words, you're fool number one. So, so that way, what's the solution? Good quality of hearing, good quality of chanting, so that what we hear, we can remember. Don't try to finish your rounds. I mean to say, of course, if in the night some rounds are left, then finish them. But otherwise, that should not be routine. And along with that, what I think is a sankalp is required. Determination. Determinations. What is sankalp? Wow. What is sankalp? What is sankalp called in English? In general terms, it's called determination. But we should. Wow. It's called wow. Wow, not wow. Wow. So yeah, it's wow. So we should take a vow that.
As well.
Was that?
Affirmation?
Affirmation? No, exactly not. Sankalp is called vow. Yeah. A vow. Intention? No, it's vow. Sankalp is vow. Vow is a good, almost near to that. We should take a vow that we will never forget, that we will never enjoy this material world. That vow is required. Devarshi Narad, he said in Bhagavatam, Asankalpa jayet kamam. By taking a vow, I will never enjoy this material world, you can conquer lust. Lust which makes you forget everything, that this place is a bad place, evil place. Everything starts appearing good. Actually, it's called vow. So, Drid Nishchay is different from Sankalp. Drid Nishchay is determination. Determination belongs to intelligence. Sankalp belongs to soul. So, there is a little difference there. Determination is born of discrimination, rational and logic. But Sankalp is born of faith. Faith and intuition, which soul has intrinsically. So, better to say wow. So just like in faith, definition of faith, Mahaprabhu says, Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kahe Sudrida Nischay. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Faith is having Sudrida Nischay. Faith is having determination, but faith doesn't have Sankalp. Sankalp is developed later by chanting. Soul becomes strong. Faith is at the level of intelligence. We read scriptures, we understand we have faith. But soul is weak at that time. So that's why there's a difference between Sankalp and Sudrida Nischay. So yeah, I think we have to remember these three things. Good quality of hearing, good quality of chanting, and Sankalp. And then we can always remember that this material world is full of miseries and a dangerous place. Otherwise, we'll forget. We'll forget. And of course, we should not take such steps in life which actually make us forget that this material world is a dangerous place. That decisions are very important. That's why Krishna says, anytime you want to decide, anytime you want to decide, just decide that, just take a decision. Take decision which is actually not easy. Take a difficult decision always in life. Isn't it? Whatever nectar first, that is poisonous. Whatever is poisonous first, that is nectar. Yattu visham agre. What's that? Parinam eva.
Yattad agre vishame. Pariname amrita.
Krishna says Yattad agre vishame. Whatever is poisonous first, pariname tu amritam upam. What's that? Upam, whatever it is. At the end, it's nectar. So always takes decisions which are difficult. At least great people do that. Devotees do that, and that will please Krishna. We do everything to please Krishna. So that will please Krishna because Krishna says we should do that. And that will actually benefit you in your life. Because whatever is easy, that will turn out to be poisonous. It will actually harm you. Whatever is difficult, in the end it will be nectarian. It will help you. It will give almost a permanent result whatever you want to do. So that thing has to be done. So some kind of tips to remember that this material world is a forest, is the forest life of the forest of material world. Some things to remember. Otherwise, we'll forget. That's why we sing in Mangalarti, Samsara Dava, Naladha Loka. We daily sing this material world is on forest fire, but we forget it. We forget all these things. We're daily singing in the morning, there's a forest fire. We are not just in the forest, but we are in a forest fire. That adds to the problem. We are first of all in a dangerous place which is forest, and that's on fire of modes of material nature, that makes things more dangerous and more pitiable. And here we are enjoying. Now that Bhaktisiddhanta used to give that story, no? That well story. So I think a tiger was behind a person. Tiger and mad elephants. He was in jungle and mad elephant and tiger, they were behind person, and he was running and he fell down into a well. And as soon as he fell down into a well, he was falling down into a well, but there was a tree branch he caught hold of it. So he was just hanging in the air. And in between the well. So on the top there is elephants and tigers ready to devour him, and below he saw there were snakes. So he couldn't even leave the branch. What to do? And then there were some rats, black and white rats, which were actually nibbling on the branch. So branch was about to break. So it sure shot death. But there was a honeybee. What's that called? Chatta? Yeah, honeycomb somewhere on the tree, and a drop of nectar fell down on his forehead, and he slipped and it came here, and he licked. And he said, so nice. And he said, and he was waiting for another drop. He forgot death. Death is above him, death is below him, death is all around him. He forgot everything. Beehive, yeah, that's called beehive. Honeycomb. A beehive. In India it's called honeycomb, yeah, beehive. Beehive was there, and nectar fell down, and he forgot everything. Honey fell down, sorry. So that's a story, but that's our life. That's not a story for children to laugh about. That's we. That person who is hanging, that is we. We are hanging there. And we don't seem to understand anything. Even if his friend is shouting, come on, you fool, why you're after this honey, this tiger, and this, do something, escape. He's not listening to his friend. So these are Jad Bharat is a friend, well-wisher. Through Rahugan Maharaj is telling us, Krishna is our friend. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. Through Gita is telling us. But we don't care for that. We don't listen actually. We have blocked our ears. It's a tragic situation. What to do? We can weep, we can cry, but weeping and crying doesn't help. Krishna says in 11th canto, if you're lost in a forest and if you shout, nobody is going to listen to anything except trees. So there's no point of shouting and crying and weeping. The only way is find a way out. You might die in between while finding the way, but anyway you're going to die. Anyway you're dead if you're lost in forest. If you're in material world, anyway you're finished. There is no future. There is no bright future. It's a very bleak future. Anyway you're dead, except if you're doing devotion. Of course I'm talking about if you're lost. Anyway you're going to die. Anyway everything is going to get destroyed. So why don't we just give it a best try to find a way out? And if you've got a way out, why don't you give a best try to walk on that way? There might be temptations, there might be seductions, there might be fall downs, but don't stop walking. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Don't stop walking. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak. What's that verse number? Or you don't know? Anyway, so Krishna says there, if you try to look at that line from a different angle, Krishna is saying, no matter how much fallen you are, keep walking. 9 chapter 30th verse. If you really think about it, Krishna says, no matter how much you've fallen, keep walking. Ananya bhajate maam ananya bhak. Keep walking. And if you do keep walking, I consider you as alive on the path of spirituality. You're still alive, you want to find a way out. That's called sadhu. Sadhu is a person who is alive. A sadhu is a person who is dead. That's where we started this verse. Am I right? People are dead, morally dead, emotionally dead. Sadhu is a person who is living. And a person who is alive, he is trying to find a way out of this dangerous situation. A person is not trying to find a way out of this dangerous situation. He is dead. Or he is mad. Two options, that's all. So sadhu is a person who is sane. In fact, actually, there is nobody called as sadhu. Because whom we call as saints in this material world, they are normal human beings. Everybody else is animal. We say we are humans, he's a saint. Actually, saintly life is a human life. Otherwise, everybody is animal. Duipat Pashu, Bhagavatam says, two-legged animal. So, a saintly life is a real human life. And that human means Athata Brahma Jigyasa, who is trying to find a way out of this forest and trying to find a way out to Brahm, to connect with God. That way will lead himself, that person, him or her, to God, and he will get connected with him. You see? Such nice concept. So please keep walking, don't get disheartened. Of course, the first point is you have to become disheartened. That this word is bad. And nevertheless keep walking. Then that is perfect. But if you think that there is a royal carpet to Golok and I'll keep walking, then you are foolish. A person who is walking, two person are walking in the forest. One person knows it's a forest and is walking. Another person has forgotten this is a forest and he thinks there's a royal carpet and everything is nice and I'll keep walking. There's a difference, am I right? There's a difference. One person is in illusion and eventually he will be killed on the way. Well, everything is nice. Everything is nice, there's no forest. So a tiger and a lion and a swamp, he will not care about them and he will fall and he will be trapped by those or he will be eaten by those. But a person who is walking on the forest and he knows it's a forest, but nevertheless he keeps walking, there's a difference. He is alert, and that person who thinks it's a royal carpet, he's forgot everything, there's a forest, he's not alert. That's the difference between two of them. So we have to keep on practicing Krishna consciousness with alertness. And that alertness means to always remember it's a dangerous place. That's the whole point. And if you're not alert, that's an offense. That's an offense against holy name. That's an offense against holy name. To be inattentive while chanting, to be inattentive while not chanting also offense. Am I right? To be inattentive while chanting. So when you're not chanting, we'll not be attentive. Because we're not chanting. Well, the first point is Prabhupada says you have to chant 16 rounds on the beats and innumerable rounds off the beats, isn't it? So to be inattentive while chanting means to be inattentive while your entire day, because you have to chant off the beats also in your mind. Keep on chanting. So you have to be attentive. What you have to be attentive of? You be attentive that you are chanting first. You have to be attentive that you are listening to the holy names. But you have to be also be attentive that you are chanting in a dangerous place. You are not chanting in a room with air condition where everything is nice. Don't forget that. Even if you are in a house with air condition, still your house is in a forest. You can be killed anytime. It's a false security. False security. You are under false security. So all these things are mentioned in this verse. I think it's worthwhile to take heed of all these things, pay attention to all these things and try to realize it. Ultimately, theory will not help anybody. If you want to read theory and if you don't want to realize and if you don't want to do something to get realization, I mean to say you have to do something to get realization, am I right? Just like when I was in my home, I used to think, full-time life, it's so difficult. But then in Bhagavatam we used to read again Ambarish Maharaj. He was Atma Nivedan, completely surrendered. Prahlad Maharaj, Bhagavatam was saying, surrender completely and Krishna will take care. So I was thinking, to say I'm reading, but how to realize it? Because in house, you don't know whether Krishna is taking care of you or not, because you are taking care of yourself. So I was thinking what to do. So I was thinking, I have to realize this statement. If you are completely surrendered, Krishna will take care of you. Money will come, food will come. That's the whole thing. Automatically, without money, food and shelter will come. So I was thinking, okay, there's just one way to get this statement off from the book and in our heart. There's just one way: become full-time, leave everything and become completely surrendered, and then see whether you'll get food or clothes or not. Otherwise, how do you do that? There is no way. If you are in a house, you can cook and you have money, you can buy, and how will you get realization that Krishna will provide you food even without money? You have to put yourself in a situation where you don't have money and then the food comes. Otherwise, it's theory. So I don't know how householders will realize this statement. Complete surrender. I don't know what they will do, but at least for me, I became full-time. Maybe Bhaktivinoda Thakur realized, they were householders. They had money, but they realized this. But then you have to become like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You can't be a hanky-panky devotee and get those big realizations in your cocoon, in your secure environment. That's not possible. Just forget it. You can't do that. You have to become like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You have to follow his footsteps. You read about him, what he was doing. You read about Prabhupada, what he was doing in his household life, and try to follow their footsteps, and then we can hope to actually achieve something in spiritual life. I want to say Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they are not just there in altars to just put flowers there. And the picture is so small, if you keep flower, the picture gets covered. So it's good we can't see them because flower is so big. They are not just there to see and offer lamp and arti. Come on, it's a joke if you just do this. Just do this. You can offer flower and arti, that's okay. That's nice. But the function of doing that is to actually respect him, his life and his teachings, and try to imbibe that in your life. That's the function. That's why there is Guru Parampara in the altar. It's not just lying there. Otherwise, it's a ritual. But it's waste. That's all. It's not completely waste because at least it's something better than nothing. But as far as getting out, escaping from this forest of material life, it's waste. You don't end up anywhere. If you don't understand what is the purpose of offering flowers, what is the purpose of offering incense, why we are doing this activity, then it doesn't count anything. So like that. So I think the message is clear, the purpose is clear, and you have to now follow that. That's all. Everything comes on personal following. So see in your life.
Krishna Prabhuji, the voice is breaking.
Oh really? Now it's okay? It's fine now?
I think you should also.
Oh, suddenly it started breaking over.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, fine. So we can't hear and see Prabhuji. Now you can hear or see what's happening?
Yes, Prabhuji, and we can hear and see you.
Okay. You can hear me? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, we can hear you and we can see you, but the indicator says that, your internet is a little low. It's better now. It just changed. Sorry.
Okay. Maybe we can keep this phone outside or what? Now it's fine? Perfectly fine?
Yes. Yeah. Go through.
Okay, so yeah, so I think now the onus falls on you. You decide in your life what changes in your life can you bring to get realizations of what you are reading. Without making change in your life, you will never get realizations. You might get at a particular point, but you'll get stuck up there. You have to bring some change in your life to get a change in your consciousness. Otherwise, if you don't bring change in your life, your consciousness remains the same. It's as simple as that. So you see what you can do. Maybe a small step, maybe a big step, doesn't matter. But keep taking steps higher and higher and higher. And don't fear any change. That's what I told, very important instruction. Don't fear change. If you want to bring change in consciousness, don't fear changing your life. Because nobody brings change without changing. That's obvious, that's logical. Okay, Jai, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anybody wants to ask anything? I'm done here.